So hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel Med School with Shubham. I am Shubham, a third professional MBBS student, and I shall be teaching you anatomy. Today I am going to start a very new series on embryology in which I will be teaching you all the core concepts of embryology right from the first week of development to the development of different systems of the body. So let's get started with this beautiful world of embryology. So today we will be starting with general embryology. In that we will start with the first week of development. So in the first week of development we will be learning about the fertilization, the cleavage, morula formation, blastocyst formation, and also the implantation. All these are the important events that takes place in the first week of development. So before starting with the actual first week of development, let's first learn the stages of pregnancy. So the stages of pregnancy actually starts before the pregnancy, that is the last menstrual period. The last menstrual period, after that it takes place the gametogenesis. Now what gametogenesis will take place? It's from the female point of view, therefore your ovulation will be of more significance, which takes place. Ovulation means release of the ovum in the female fallopian tube. So the ovulation will take place on the 14th day of the menstrual cycle. After that fertilization will take place, and after fertilization the zygote will be formed. The 2-cell stage, 3-cell stage, 4-cell stage, morula, advanced morula, blastocyst, all these stages will take place, and this comes under the germinal period of the pregnancy. After that we will get the embryonic period of pregnancy, and then we will be having the fetal period of pregnancy. What are the time periods of this? Let's see that. So the germinal period of pregnancy actually starts from the day 1 to the day 14. Day 1 to day 14 of pregnancy. Then the embryonic period starts from the 3rd week to 8th week of pregnancy, and the fetal period, it starts from 9th week to till the birth of the baby. I hope this is very clear to you. The last menstrual period, after that gametogenesis will take place. What is that? Ovulation in this case, which will take place on the 14th day of the menstrual cycle. Then fertilization will take place. After that germinal period will start, which lasts for 2 weeks. 14 days means 2 weeks. Then from the 3rd week till the 8th week, till the end of the 8th week, we will be having the embryonic period. After that, from the 9th week to the birth, we have the fetal period. So let's move forward. Now we will be starting with the actual first week of pregnancy, first week of development, or you can also say that the first week of development. In this, let's first draw. This is the ovum. This is the ovum, and this is the sperm. The fusion of sperm and ovum together is called as fertilization. I hope you all guys know this. Fertilization is the fusion of sperm and the ovum. Now what will be the site of fertilization? The site will be ampulla of fallopian tube. The ampulla of the fallopian tube will be the site of fertilization. What will be the perfect time of fertilization? Time will be within 24 hours of ovulation. What does this mean? On the day 14, the ovum will be released, which is ovulation, and within 24 hours of ovulation, the sperm should come to the ovum and it should fertilize it. So this is what the time of fertilization means. Now what is the next thing that we have to learn is the mechanism of fertilization. Mechanism or the process of fertilization. In this mechanism or process of fertilization, the first thing which we have to learn is the pathway of the sperm inside the ovum. Okay. So this is the ovum. As I said, this is the ovum and this is the sperm. Now the sperm has to pass through various layers and then enter into the ovum. So what are those layers? The sperm will first have to degenerate the corona radiata cells, that is the corona radiata layer. Then it will pass through the zona pellucida layer. Then it will pass through the vitelline membrane, and then finally it will enter inside the ovum. So let's, as I have named these layers, corona radiata, zona pellucida and vitelline membrane, I shall draw those layers here. So this is the ovum. Above the ovum I will be drawing this vitelline membrane. Above the vitelline membrane, over the vitelline membrane, we have this zona pellucida layer, and over that we have the corona radiata cells. These are the cells, the layer of the cells which is called as the corona radiata cells. So let's name all these things now. So this blue color is the corona radiata. Then we have this green color, we have the zona pellucida. And then the innermost is the vitelline membrane. I hope this is very clear to you guys. Also one thing, I have written here the ampulla of the fallopian tube. There might be some guys who might not appreciate what is the ampulla of the fallopian tube. For that thing, I will make a small diagram over here. These are the fimbriae, the ampulla, the isthmus, and this is the uterus. So this is the uterus part and the entire is the fallopian tube. There are three parts of the fallopian tube. This is the isthmus of the fallopian tube, this is the ampulla part of the fallopian tube, and this is the fimbriae part of the fallopian tube. And to this fimbriae part we have the ovum attached, and this is the ampulo-isthmic junction. Now some book says that the site of fertilization is the ampulo-isthmic junction. Some book says that the site of fertilization is the ampulla. Both of them are right, because sometimes it takes place in the ampulo-isthmic junction, sometimes fertilization takes place in the ampulla. Now let's get back to the pathway of the sperm. Then the sperm will pass to the corona radiata cell, then it will pass to the zona pellucida layer, then it will pass to the vitelline membrane, and finally it will enter into the ovum. Now for passing through all these layers, it has to secrete some enzymes for degenerating this layer and then entering inside. So for that, the sperm, for degenerating the corona radiata, it will secrete the hyaluronidase enzyme. For passing through the zona pellucida layer, it will secrete the acrosine enzyme. Also along with acrosine, it will secrete the neuraminidase enzyme. I hope this is clear. First, the sperm will be secreting the hyaluronidase enzyme, then it will pass to the corona radiata. Now it will secrete the acrosine and neuraminidase enzyme. Now it will pass through the zona pellucida layer, and now finally it will reach the vitelline membrane. Now what happens when this enters when it reaches the vitelline membrane? Now when the sperm reaches the vitelline membrane, what happens is the calcium wave is generated in the vitelline membrane and the zona pellucida layer, between the vitelline membrane and the zona pellucida layer. This was the ovum. Over that we had this vitelline membrane, and over this we had the zona pellucida layer. Now when the sperm reaches this zona pellucida, a calcium wave will be generated in this region. A calcium wave will be generated in this region. Calcium wave generation. Now what is calcium wave generation? A high amount of calcium will be released in that space, that is called calcium wave generation. Because of this calcium wave generation, cortical granules will be released. Cortical granules will be released, and now these cortical granules will now react with the zona pellucida layer. React with the zona pellucida layer, and because of this reaction between the cortical granules and the zona pellucida layer, what will happen is the decreased permeability. Sorry for the mistake. Decreased permeability of the zona pellucida layer. Now what will happen because of this decreased permeability? This decreased permeability is for the sperms. Means what? Now another thing, what does this mean is this is ovum and this is sperm. Once sperm has entered into the ovum, it has reached the vitelline membrane. Now the calcium wave will be generated, the cortical granules will be released, and this cortical granules will react with the zona pellucida layer and decrease the permeability of the zona pellucida. Now if another sperm comes and it has to fertilize the egg, it won't happen. Why? Because the permeability of the zona pellucida layer for other sperms it has decreased. Now other sperms cannot come and fertilize that same ovum. So this process which we have written here, this entire process is called as zonal reaction. This is called as zonal reaction. Another name for this beautiful process is vitelline block. Zonal reaction or vitelline block. Why is this zonal reaction and vitelline block even needed? To prevent polyspermy. Polyspermy. What does polyspermy means? More than one sperm is fertilizing a single ovum. This is called as polyspermy. To prevent this polyspermy, we have this process called as zonal reaction or vitelline block. I hope this is very clear to you till this point. Now let's come to another point which is called as clinical anatomy. Listen guys, you are writing anatomy exam, and any question in anatomy is just incomplete without clinical anatomy. Whether the examiner has mentioned or not in the question, you have to write clinical anatomy for each and every question in the anatomy paper. This actually impresses the examiner, and you will end up getting good marks in the exam. So what clinical anatomy can we write in this? So the clinical anatomy that is related to fertilization is the excessive use of the NSAIDs. AIDS. What are NSAIDs? NSAIDs are non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs. Non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs. The details of NSAIDs you will be learning in the pharmacology in the second year, but for now you just remember that NSAIDs, the excessive use of NSAIDs. What is the example of NSAIDs? Example, aspirin. Now what will happen if the pregnant woman or the woman is on a high dose on NSAIDs, or she is taking excessively, regularly she is taking NSAIDs. Now because of this, the aspirin, it will decrease the sperm transport. it will decrease the sperm transport in the female reproductive tract. Now what will happen, because of the decreased transport of the sperm in the female reproductive tract, the sperm can't reach the ovum. Sperm to the ovum. The sperm can't reach the ovum and fertilization will not take place. So therefore, the pregnant women or generally women, they are said to take decrease amount of NSAIDs, because if they are consuming high amount of NSAIDs or like they are regularly on NSAIDs, this decreases the sperm transport to the sperm transport in the female reproductive tract. Now you will ask me why the sperm transport is decreased. So because of the anti-prostaglandin effect. Anti-prostaglandin effect. Because of the anti-prostaglandin effect, the sperm transport is reduced and the sperm cannot reach the ovum. So this marks the end of the first week of development. In this lecture, not actually the entire first week of development. In this lecture, we have completed the fertilization part. In the next lecture, I will try to complete this cleavage, blastocyst and morula and blastocyst formation. If possible, implantation will also be completed in the next lecture. But if it doesn't take place, a separate lecture on implantation will be posted. So let's revise everything from the start. So the first week of development, we will be studying the fertilization, cleavage, morula formation, blastocyst formation and implantation. Before starting the actual first week of development, we will learn the stages of pregnancy, the last menstrual period. Then we had the new menstrual cycle to be started, in which on the day 4th of menstrual cycle, the ovulation will take place. And if on the same day, if the sperm arrives, then fertilization will take place. After that, pregnancy will start. We will first start with the germinal phase or the germinal period of pregnancy, then the embryonic period of pregnancy and the fetal period of pregnancy, till 2 weeks, till 8th week and till the birth. Like this, the sequence will be there: day 1 to 2 weeks, 3 weeks to 8 weeks and 9th week till the birth. Then we have the ovum and the sperm. The ovum shall be having the vitelline membrane, the zona pellucida and the corona radiata layers over it. The sperm has to pass through all these layers and then it has to fertilize the ovum. Now fertilization, what is the site of fertilization? The ampulla of the fallopian tube, or you can also write the ampulo-isthmic junction. Then what is the perfect time of fertilization? Within 24 hours of ovulation. Within 24 hours of ovulation. Now let's start with the mechanism or the process of fertilization. For that, first we have to learn the pathway of sperm. The sperm now will first secrete the hyaluronidase enzyme. It will degenerate the corona radiata cells. Now it will release the acrosine and neuraminidase enzyme. It will pass through the zona pellucida layer. Now, after passing through the zona pellucida layer, it will reach the vitelline membrane. When the sperm reaches the vitelline membrane, what will happen? A calcium wave will be generated. Because of the calcium wave generation, cortical granules will be released. These cortical granules will now react with the zona pellucida layer, and because of the reaction with the zona pellucida layer, there will be decreased permeability of the zona pellucida layer. Decreased permeability will be for sperms. And this entire process is called as zonal reaction or the vitelline block. Why zonal reaction or vitelline block is important? These two reactions, or this zonal reaction and vitelline block, it is very important to prevent the polyspermy. What is polyspermy? A single ovum is been fertilized by two different or more than one sperm. It is called as polyspermy. To prevent this polyspermy, zonal reaction is required. Then last point, clinical anatomy. The excessive use of NSAIDs or the regular use of NSAIDs, example aspirin, can decrease the sperm transport in the female reproductive tract. Why? Because the NSAIDs or aspirin has an anti-prostaglandin effect, and this prostaglandin is actually required in the female reproductive tract for the transport of the sperm to the ovum, and therefore sperm cannot reach the ovum. Thank you so much guys for watching this video. Stay with me in the entire series. Thank you. Please like, share and subscribe to my channel. Thank you.